Right now, though, without any further ado, welcome the first guest of the show to Radio TKO. We caught up with him last week for just a couple minutes. The Punk, Josh Thomson, welcome back to Radio TKO.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me back.
Not a problem. Last week we just happened to scrape the surface on what's going on with yourself in terms of training down in San Jose and also in terms of fighting. Of course, unfortunately, coming off the loss to Kawajiri there across the pond, how has that gotten you refocused, and what's your game plan? Is Strikeforce or Dream, or what are we going to see you doing next?
Right now there's a lot of talk right now about a possible Grand Prix lightweight tournament and with all the best guys, and me being one of them. So I'm really looking forward to that. If that does happen, Strikeforce hasn't told me really a whole lot what's going on, but if that does come to fruition, then I'm definitely looking forward to it. With guys like Gilbert, myself, Aoki, Kawajiri, and, obviously probably JD, Masvidal, all the guys. I think that's going to be a huge thing if it all does come around. There's a lot of talk right now. People keep texting me, Facebooking me, a lot of interest in that tournament. So that's something I'm definitely interested in doing. If that doesn't come around, then, hey, whoever they decide to put in front of me, I was trying to get on the March 5th card, but they had to put some other fighters in front of me with some contracts. Contracts are coming around, so they need to make sure all the other guys get their fights in on their contracts. So I was trying to get on it, but it's not looking good.
Josh, Damon here. Hey, I got to ask. When you say that you're kind of negotiating with guys, you've got tournaments potentially coming up, or fights or cards coming up. How much stress is that on you? You're negotiating stuff or not knowing from week to week and stuff. How big of an effect, or maybe our listeners could know of what it's like to be a fighter out there. Not only trying to just get paid, but to get fights for yourself that are the most not only profitable but the best for your career.
I think the Kawajiri fight kind of taught me a little bit. Make sure you're always training. I think with a little bit, a couple more weeks of training, I would have been more focused on the actual fight. In a 2-week span, you have no time to really get nervous or stressed out about the fight. So, and really try and get down a good game plan. So that was really, I think, in that situation, it made me realize that, back when I was younger, I used to train all the time. Didn't matter when I took fights, things like that. You would just take a fight on a week's notice. But now, it's a little different. You're fighting the best guys in the world. Nobody wants to just take a fight real quick, So I think in this situation, it was probably the best thing for me, and I'm just trying to get refocused on what's going to happen and what's got to happen. And that has to do with just making sure I stay training, making sure I'm always kind of getting close to fight shape or right near fight shape, and then it doesn't make those decisions, very hard for you. When the promotion says, hey, we want you to fight in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you're already kind of ready, all right, I can do it. So those type of things happen, but then you have to understand that's the fight game. I don't think the fans will ever understand what a fighter really goes through until they actually train and actually try to compete. And then they really won't even know it until they get to an upper echelon of fighters, so they'll never really know. And we can sit here and tell them all day, but, the fact of the matter is that until you're one of the best guys and one of the top guys in the world, they'll never really know all the stress that goes with coming with being a fighter.
There's so much more to it that is seen in the cage, and we talked last week, as we joked about, you were busy, so we had to settle for Cain Velasquez, but Cain was telling us, how much Dave Camarillo and Bob Cook mean to the operation in terms of getting you guys ready and keeping you grounded. Where were you before AKA? When did you find it, and how did you know that this was where you should stay?
I've been with AKA the longest. I've been with them longer than all the other fighters that they have. I was there when Frank Shamrock was there still fighting. I was there when BJ Penn came on board and he exploded into the UFC scene. Mm-hmm. I was there training. I just didn't really get my break. I actually got signed shortly after when I fought on UFC 44. That was the same card that BJ Penn beat Matt Hughes for the welterweight title. Everyone had BJ as an underdog. A huge underdog, and he went out there and just got the first round submission. That was a huge win. That was my second win. Started at UFC 46 when I beat Hermes Franca. So that was a huge night, for me. And then also DJ had just left AKA just recently before that, and so he was still kind of someone I looked up to and was like a brother. Almost. I trained a lot with him before that. It was awesome. Having him around, someone, to kind of let you know that you're not as good as you are. He was definitely the person to show you that. So, once I moved from Idaho, back down to California, I was born and raised in California. I moved up to Idaho for high school and my first year of college. And I moved back down there, and, Bob Cook and Frank Shamrock didn't like me, but I was training there at AKA, and training with Bob Cook, and And, and then I went back home for a year, and I came back, and I was like, if I want to be a fighter, I got to do it down here. So then I decided to just stay, at AKA, and Javier took me in a little bit under his wing, and Bob and I have always been, he's like almost like my older brother, my older, I guess you'd call him wiser. I don't know about that, but he's my older brother for sure. So, but I mean, as far as the management goes, he's definitely my older, wiser brother, and always looked out for me the best he can. And, I think with him, I've never had to worry about whether I was going to get my money or not, or, if he was skinning me off the top, or, you'll hear a lot of bad things about managers, like that thing with Juanito and Rampage. I mean, I don't know how much of it's true, but those are things that you always fear, you're afraid of, your manager, like, gouging you for money or doing side deals. I've never had to worry about that with Dwayne Zinkin and Bob Cook. Especially Bob. I've been with Bob for I don't know how many years, before he was still training and, and working out with me, and he was managing me. It's like I've known him for so many years, I've never had to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I love that you're getting into this, too, because a lot of people see the end result on a pay-per-view event or watch you in the cage, but that's a culmination of months and months of not only hard work in the gym, but, I mean, you've got a life to live, too, and a business to run practically. I mean, you are your own franchise that you're putting out there and stuff. I mean, is there advice for maybe young fighters or kids who are training or amateurs right now that they can give? I mean, you are fortunate enough to have an amazing, family at AKA that you can rely upon to help you out. But what is some of the stuff that people, that might not know about it, or kids that want to get into it, that they really need to focus on, just aside from the training, to keep themselves focused, and what they should look for in a person to, team up with to help them the right steps to get to a point where they can make some money off this and make it a career?
The number one thing is, and I tell everyone, you got to be in tune with the guys that you're with. You got to make sure that it really is almost like a family. And I'm not talking about just guys that, you call them your brothers, your family, things like that. I'm talking about guys that you truly trust no matter what. Like I know Bob. I've known Crazy Bob for years. Javier, I know if I'm. I know if I was in jail, they'd come bail me out. I know every single, if I was stuck in the middle of the desert somewhere, my car broke down, they would drive 9-10 hours to come pick me up. And those type of things, those are the things, that you always got to make sure that you have. I think what I tell people, though, is if you're a young and up-and-coming fighter, you got to kind of learn the ropes of the older guys and what they didn't do. And I see a lot of these older fighters, they're holding on to the fighting, and the reason why is because they thought the money was going to be there forever. They thought their career was going to be there forever, and it's not. And I got to say, I was fortunate enough to kind of, when I was in the UFC, I made a little bit of money, but, the thing is that I went out and I blew it. I went out and blew a lot of my money just basically trying to be the showman, trying to be like the man around town, around San Jose, around, traveling everywhere, doing whatever I wanted. And at the end of the day, you have to pay taxes, and you also, you have to pay taxes on that money. You also have to, pay for yourself to live, and you never know. You never know when the next fight's going to happen. You never know when your career could take a turn for the worse. And I was fortunate just to make enough to get by and kind of live that lifestyle. But then reality set in that you can't live like that for me. And then when it turned around, now I've been blessed to make a ton more money, but I've gotten that all out of my system. That partying scene, that lifestyle is way out of my system now. I can imagine if I was making the type of money I'm making now back then, I'd be broke. I would be broke with nothing to show for it, except for a bar tab. And I've said that before to the younger guys, and everyone's like, "Why don't you run to the UFC and go fight for them?" And I said, "Well, because I'm not looking to be a celebrity. I'm looking to make money. And right now, to me, the best offer for me is in Strikeforce, and that is also to help build a brand. Strikeforce is a new company, and I got to tell you, they take care of me. They always watch out for me, and they're making sure that my career takes off. I'm not saying the UFC wouldn't do that, but I don't want all the focus that goes with. I thought I don't want it. It's just right now I'm not focused on the whole situation of trying to be a superstar anymore like I was when I was younger. The younger kids, they focus a lot more on, I'm on TV more, or UFC will build my brand, they will do this, they will do that. But if you're making more money at another promotion and you're able to, and you're smart with your money, in no time you'll end up having your own gym, you'll end up having your own business, you'll end up, you're supported by a good woman or someone that can help you, guide you, whatever, a good trainer, a good manager that can guide you in the right direction. It's huge, man. It's huge. I got to tell you, it's huge. If you just have someone there to kind of push you in the right direction, family, whatever it is, it'll make a huge difference on how well you do with your career.